Lord Richard Dannatt, former British Army chief, with his thoughts on that. Lord Dannatt, you heard there that President Zelenskyy's call for a foreign legion, and certainly the British Defence Secretary and the Foreign Secretary, no objections to that legion coming from here. As a professional soldier, what would your view be on that?
Well, I think my view is to follow the advice of the Defence Secretary. If there are British citizens who have got military training who feel that they want to join the fight in Ukraine, and I can totally understand that, because yes, the fight is in Ukraine, but really what the Ukrainians are doing is fighting for democracy and for freedom. So I can understand if people feel they want to go and do that, but then follow the advice of the Defence Secretary and get in touch with the Ukrainian embassy. I think that's probably the best route in, rather than try and make their own way, whichever way they can. I think try and do it officially would make a certain degree of sense.
Lord Dannatt, I also want to get your reaction to that breaking news that Mark just brought to us about the ability of British weapons to have been smuggled into Ukraine successfully now. We heard over the weekend, didn't we, President Zelenskiy saying he needed ammunition, not a ride. It's been a big challenge to try and give the support that we've been pledging, but has it been able to reach the people that need it at the moment? How big is that challenge? And, you know, ongoing, what are the risks it could fall into, for example, Russian hands if not managed carefully?
Well, the words from the West have been very much in support of Ukraine, and that's fine as far as words go. Economic sanctions are fine as far as they go, and I think they are beginning to bite to an extent. But actually what the Ukrainians need is physical, practical support in their fight, which, as I said just now, yes, it's their fight in Ukraine, but really they are fighting against autocracy, they are fighting for democracy, they're fighting for their chosen way of life, which actually is our chosen way of life as well. So I think every which way that the British government can find way of getting weapons to them, particularly, as you said, the light anti-tank weapons or short-range anti-aircraft weapons, these are the sort of things that the Ukrainians need. And let's face it, the Ukrainians are doing a half-decent job. I think the problem for the Russians is that they haven't been very straight, as far as we can tell, with their troops, many of whom are conscripts. They were taking part in major live-firing exercises on the other side of the Ukrainian borders for quite some time. They've now crossed over, and I'm not convinced that they've been properly briefed as to what they're doing, why they're doing it, and who they're fighting. Many reports have come in of Russian-speaking Ukrainians who are talking to the Russian conscripts and saying, "Oi, we're your brothers, don't fight us." So I think there's a lot of confusion on the ground, and well done the Ukrainians.
Well, meanwhile, we're talking about various weapons and weapons being smuggled in. Then there is the nuclear weapon and the option of that raised by President Putin, that his nuclear force should be on high alert. What do you make of that?
Well, this is the kind of language that's most unhelpful, and I'm putting that diplomatically. When in the days before the invasion started, Putin bullied, intimidated, talked about the conventional forces they had on the border and that they would attack. Well, they have attacked, and as I was saying just now, the attack hasn't gone particularly well. So he's upping the ante in terms of threatening, intimidating and bullying by reminding the world that Russia is a very sophisticated nuclear-armed state. Now, it would be quite unthinkable to any rational person if he was to even consider a demonstrative use of a nuclear weapon in a faraway place just to show what they could do. I think the biggest worry is Vladimir Putin, bunkered down in the Kremlin, after 20 years in power, is probably beginning to lose the plot. He is becoming so dictatorial, so autocratic, that I'm afraid nothing could be off the agenda. Rational people thought he wouldn't invade. He has invaded. Question, is he still rational? Worry, he's got nuclear weapons at his disposal.
Yeah, so we can't underestimate him, and we do so at our peril. And I suppose, as you say then, the world really has changed in the last 5 days, and not least in the response from Germany in the last 24 hours, upping their defence spend more than any time in your career, I'm sure.
Well, this is right. I mean, Germany, for all the obvious historical reasons, has been very backward-leaning in getting involved in overseas interventions. Yes, they supported us to an extent in Iraq and Afghanistan, but they tried to keep out of the way. But we have seen quite a change in German attitudes. The pausing of Nord Stream 2 was quite significant. They haven't cancelled it, they've just paused it. But the fact that they are now supplying weapons to Ukraine, this is a significant change. It's welcome as far as the Ukrainians are concerned. But as you say, Isabel, a distinct change in the German position.
Lord Dannatt, thanks for your take. Thanks for your analysis. Really appreciate it. General Lord Richard Dannatt, their former head of the British Army.